Hello, this is Dr. Anna O'Sullivan, and today we're going to discuss the Atomy E Omega 3. So before we discuss the actual Atomy brand, we also need to get a bit of a background. What is omega 3 and what are the benefits of it? So omega 3s are actually fatty acids. And there are three types of fatty acids: ALA, EPA, and DHA. And these are the most beneficial ones are the EPA and DHA. So first, let's talk about some of the benefits of taking omega-3 fatty acids. Number one, they actually help prevent cardiovascular disease. Number two, they give your nervous system and your brain a boost. And everyone, especially children and the elderly, can really benefit from taking omega-3s. It's been shown in research that omega-3s can actually reduce dementia, the development of dementia, and so people, adults or children who have ADHD and depression can also benefit from taking omega-3 on a regular basis. Another great benefit of taking regular omega-3 is that they help keep your eyes healthy. For any people with vision problems, it helps to reduce inflammation, and also it helps to lubricate your retina and your tear ducts. Now, for those of you who have dry, brittle hair or dry skin or nails that are not healthy, supplementing with omega-3 or eating foods with omega-3 fatty acids will greatly help with these conditions. And interestingly, taking omega-3 will also help prevent some type of cancers, especially colon cancer and breast cancer. It's been shown that you can actually reduce the risk of these cancers by almost 50% by taking regular omega-3s in your diet. And for those of you who have trouble sleeping, they also help you sleep. And the reason being is it helps your nervous system to become calmer, which then helps you sleep better. And for those of you who are trying to have a baby, it also will help you with fertility issues. And the reason being is that for the male, it helps the sperm be stronger so that it helps the sperm get to where it needs to go easier. So let's discuss some facts about omega-3s. Now, one thing that's really important that you need to know is that our bodies cannot produce these fats, and so which means they are essential, and we must get them from our diet. There's a lot of benefits of the omega-3s, and we're going to discuss them a little bit more in detail later, but we have to get it from the diet. And the food that is the most abundant in the EPA and DHA, the most valuable fatty acids, are in certain types of fish. And so there are also certain fatty acids in plants, but they're not as available, and it's very difficult for our bodies to convert. So those of you who are vegans or vegetarians, it may be wise for you to actually take the plant-based converted essential fatty acids. So this is a list of some of the most high content of omega-3s in certain types of fish. So herring has its highest content, almost 2,000 milligrams for 100 grams portion of fish. Then it's tuna, then it's salmon and mackerel, and it goes down as the type of fish changes. So one of the biggest challenges for us getting these omega-3s is that a lot of people don't eat fish on a regular basis, especially the top four. Also, too, a lot of people don't like fish, and so they don't eat it at all. And we need to have these essential fatty acids on a regular basis to be healthy. And I'm going to discuss why down a little bit further. So, because many people do not eat fish regularly and do not like fish, omega-3 deficiencies is actually one of the most common deficiencies. And so it's a problem, and it will cause a lot of different health issues, as we mentioned a little bit earlier. But also, too, even if you are eating the fish, etc., processing or overcooking the food can actually destroy most of these fatty acids because they're very delicate. So again, it's easy to become deficient. And plant-based omega-3s are actually hard for our bodies to use because your body can't use the plant-based omega-3. It actually has to be converted to the usable form, the EPA and DHA. And the conversion process in our bodies is very, very poor, less than 1%. So the best thing to do is actually, if you are a vegan or vegetarian, is to actually get a plant-based omega-3 supplement, which has been converted already for you. It will tend to be a little more expensive than the fish oil omega-3s because of the conversion process. You need a lot of the plant-based omega-3 to be converted. And the reason fish oil is so convenient to take is because it is the final product and it is absorbable, but it must be the right type of supplement. So we're going to go over that as well. And so it doesn't need conversion, and there's lots of omega-3s found in certain types of fish. So it's abundant. It just needs to be purified and processed. So the most important omega-3 is EPA, and this is because it's the primary building blocks of our brain. And secondly, it's a primary membrane component of every cell in our body, which means that we have trillions and trillions of cells in our bodies, and every cell, from a brain cell to our eye cells to our liver cells to our skin cells, has to have a membrane. That is the outer sac of every cell. And if we don't have enough of these essential fatty acids when a new cell is being formed, then the body has no choice but to use whatever it can find to try to make that membrane, because a cell must have a membrane. And so that cell is not going to be healthy. Maybe just too porous, or it could be too stiff. And that kind of cell is very unhealthy, and it could cause a lot of issues. For instance, they found in research, people who are diabetics tend to have a stiffer cell wall, and therefore there's less communication between the insulin, which regulates blood sugar, and the cell. So when the insulin comes knocking at the door saying, hey, listen, cell, here's some sugar for you to intake so you can use it for energy, the cell tend not to be able to hear it. And that's a huge problem with diabetics. When they found that when they supplemented with the central EPA consistently over time, as the cells turned over, the cell membrane became more flexible and there was more communication. So it's definitely helped with diabetics. And DHA is actually beneficial for reversing heart disease. So anybody with cardiovascular disease, it helps. And the main reason is because it helps to reduce inflammation. So not only does it help reduce heart disease, but it's amazing for people with any kind of joint inflammation, for arthritis, etc. It will help reduce the inflammation. So who needs omega-3s? Well, basically everyone needs omega-3s. And from young children to adults to elderly, because this is something that your body needs on a consistent basis and we can't make it. So supplementation is critical, and there's different forms of it for different age groups. And every single cell in our body needs its trillions of cells, from our scalp cells, which will determine the quality of our health, our hair, to our skin, to our liver, to our toenails. So it's critical that everyone gets certain amounts on a consistent basis. So what's so special about the Atomy brand of omega-3s? Well, there's a couple of differences with respect to Atomy's brand and other supplements out there, and we're going to go through that. Firstly, the Atomy brand is the fish is we use is the is the pollock, Alaskan pollock, and it's found in certain waters in Alaska. And this area is one of the cleanest areas in the world with respect to pollution and contaminants. And so the pollock, it tends to be less um, toxic. But you know what? Actually, what happens is that a lot of other fish oil companies use smaller fish like mackerel, etc., which tends to be quite expensive because of their size. You need a lot more of them to make the same amount, to get the same amount of fish oil. And the reason being is that the smaller the fish, the less toxin there are in the actual fish oil. But if you process it properly, even if the fish is a little bit larger, like the pollock, which tends to be bigger than the mackerel, you will still get high quality fish oils during the production process. So which means the cost will be less if you can use a bit of a bigger fish and yet still have the highest quality possible. So these fish is caught in the Alaskan waters, and then it's actually processed right at the site. Then it's stored fresh with natural antioxidants. Vitamin E is added to actually stabilize the oxidation because the essential fatty acids are quite unstable and they can oxidize quickly. So by adding the natural antioxidants, it prevents it from oxidation, and it's transported to a site where they will finish the processing into the actual supplement. One thing about the Atomy essential fatty acids is that yes, it has high amounts of EPA and DHA, actually almost twice as much for the size of the capsule, but there's other ingredients added to it, and these two have certain functions. The vitamin E specifically helps to stabilize the fish oil, the essential fatty acids from oxidizing quicker, so you'll have a longer shelf life. And also curcumin longa oil, which is actually turmeric oil, is added to the supplement. And what that does is it actually helps to potentiate the anti-inflammatory effect of the fish oil. So you get much powerful anti-inflammatory effects than fish oil without the added turmeric. And one of the things that we're going to discuss is that not all omega-3 supplements are equal. There's lots of different supplements out there, and what you want to do is you want to get the most effective supplement, the most at the best price possible. And so the key is a balance. Is how do you know how good this is? And so you need to do a bit of research, and that's why I'm going to go through this step by step. One of the things that all fish oil must go through as soon as the processing starts is that for safety reasons, to remove mercury and carcinogens, which are the most dangerous products that are in fish, they use alcohol to remove these in the processing method to remove these substances. But the problem is when they add the alcohol, it changes the triglycerides found in the fish oil, the certain type of the fish oil, to an ethyl ester compound. And this is a natural substance not found in nature. So our bodies have a lot of trouble processing this type of fat and also absorbing the ethyl ester. And so what has to happen is that for your body to be able to use this fatty acid, they have to reverse this esterification. And this process is actually fairly expensive, and very few omega-3 manufacturers will actually do this process because the average person doesn't know this. This is the reason why you end up with issues when, let's say, you have digestive issues and there's less absorption. You're not getting the results that you should with taking the fatty acids. This is most likely why. So you need to, whatever brand you're taking, you need to make sure that it's esterified. And if it's not re-esterified, then you're going to have major issues. It's not going to absorb properly, and also you most likely suffer some digestive upset. So as you can see here, the esterification process is very, very important. And then the production processes after that, then there's a separation of the EPA and DHA, and there's cold extraction and concentration of the omega-3. So they use cold extraction, which is the safest way. And then what they do is, this is also another process step that is missing in a lot of the production of other omega-3 supplements, is that they will use this molecular distillation to actually deodorize the fishy odor and the taste so that it's palatable for many people. One of the biggest complaints of people taking a fish oil supplement is that they can't stand the aftertaste, the fishy taste, or if they burp, that they can get that fishy taste coming up, or the smell. And this is particularly a problem for children. And so that prevents them from actually taking the supplement, which they really need. And so if you can deodorize and have it sort of have really no scent or aftertaste, then that's going to go a long way for compliance with respect to taking it on a consistent basis. Then what happens is, this is a key with respect to using a bigger fish, which is cheaper, but be safe, in that what they'll do is they'll filter, once they do the distillation for deodorization, they will actually filter the fish oil and to remove all the PCBs, organic chloride pollutants, and any harmful heavy metals that are still present after they treat it with the alcohol to get the carcinogens and the mercury out. Then the rest of the step is packaging. And in this process, they're actually packaged under inert gas, so everything is very, very safe. So this production process is usually actually in any supplements that you purchase. The production process is what's going to actually determine the cost of the supplement itself. So when the supplement does not have this esterification step, it will be much cheaper. When the supplement doesn't have this molecular distillation process, it will be cheaper. But one of the things about the Atomy supplement is that even though it's got these great processes for making it easier to digest and also easier to take, the cost of this product is insanely inexpensive. And so that is why it is so popular. So this is a process, the deodorization process, again, the most important part of the production after the esterification. And it's critical for the average person to be able to take this supplement on a consistent basis. And another huge differentiation, and this is probably more important than anything, is the size of the Atomy's essential fatty acid capsules. They're actually half the size of your typical fish oil supplement, and yet you'll get actually the same amount of the essential fatty acids. Typically, if you look at this, as you can see, it's half the size, but the typical big, I call them the horse pills, they have only about 30% essential fatty acids, whereas the Atomy's smaller capsule has 65% essential fatty acids. So you're getting almost more than double the amount in a sense that if you had the same size, the Atomy the same size, you would get twice as much. So they're able to make the capsules half the size and yet still have the same amount basically of the fish oil, which is incredible. Because one of the things with respect to the size is that when they're that big, it's very difficult to swallow. And for children, some people won't take something that big because, you know, it can get stuck and there's a risk of choking. But anybody who can swallow regular food, etc., will be able to take this small little capsule. And it's spherical, so there's no really minimal chance of it getting stuck. So that's a really big bonus with respect to the Atomy omega 3s. So this, now before I start on talking about the omega 3, I think I'm not going to have time for the rose rain mist. The omega 3 is the most important. I want to really go deep dive. Um, um, no, this is not my success center. It's a virtual background, but I can put the beach background of the beach. But this is a meeting, so I like to put that up. But if you want that
industry using proven research data that cosmetic skin
American manufacturer, because they're starting to do the GSG, there's ALA, because it's important for every single cell in your body and for proper development. Better quality than these high-end brands, but at drugstore prices. And that is why Atomy has grown so big, right? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to work on one deep dive into the Alaska omega 3 that we've been taking. Especially children. Because things are, they only have so much per month. They get, old age pension, etc. They will buy the box of Himalayan, and then whatever's left over, they'll buy the rest of the food. Because dollar for dollar. Now, before I start on talking about the omega
foods, which are
taking, it did say in the video that Comar B&H manufactures it, but now these actually come from the U.S. or the American manufacturer, because they're starting to do the GSGS, global source, global sales. And so now I'm going to go through this and to make you realize why this is one of your top essential supplements you need to take every day. Every single person should be taking omega-3s, including babies. There's actually ones for babies, not Atomy, but there's actually liquid omega-3s that they can use because it's important for every single cell in your body.
Create the
because they're better quality. I mean, sometimes better quality than these high-end brands, but at drugstore prices. And that is why Atomy has grown so big, right? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to work on one deep dive into the Alaska omega-3 that we've been taking. It did say in the video that Comar B&H manufactures it, but now these actually come from the U.S. or the American manufacturer because they're starting to do the GS global source, global sales. And so now I'm going to go through this and to make you realize why this is one of your top essential supplements you need to take every day. Every single person should be taking omega-3s, including babies. There's actually ones for babies, not Atomy, but there's actually liquid omega-3s that they can use because it's because they're better quality. I mean, sometimes better quality than these high-end brands, but at drugstore prices. And that is why Atomy has grown so big. Before I start, right? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to work on one before I start.
Colmar Korea has one of the most advanced manufacturing technologies and capabilities within the